Hello and welcome back. In this video, we need to start talking about our next essay. So if you remember back to the beginning of the semester, I told you we're going to have three main essays. So we did our narrative essay, and we're now moving on to our argument essay. You can find the instructions for this under today's This Week for Moodle. It says Argument Essay Assignment Sheet. So you can take a look at that and you have some directions. I have some topics for you. I have due dates and everything. So I just wanted to kind of go through them here. So first of all, I think this is, maybe a kind of essay that we're more comfortable with. I know the narrative essay was kind of weird, the storytelling, the dialogue, all of it's a little bit strange. So this kind of essay is maybe more what we're used to in terms of, persuading the audience, having an argument that we're trying to convince the audience of. So I'm gonna have, a number of videos for you about, different argument strategies and, ways to sort of break down arguments into their parts so we can see, if it makes sense or how to argue against the opposing side and stuff like that. So I've given you a topic here, and the way that I'm trying to frame this is that I want you to argue for a solution. So the kind of way that we're going to try to frame this essay is we're going to identify a problem and then we're going to argue for a solution to that problem. So the topic that I've given you is centered around college. I've done this before where I just let people write about like anything they want, like write any argument essay you want, and I like to give students freedom as much as I can. But I find that when I do that, students kind of get overwhelmed, or they end up just like Googling like argument essay topics. Then I get a bunch of things about the same stuff you've heard argued about a million times. The death penalty or abortion or something like that. And I just don't find those essays. Usually, there's not like a lot of new things to say. It's just kind of people like repeating talking points, and that's not what I like. I would rather have you guys kind of think more critically, try to use your own ideas to come up with some kind of unique solutions. So I picked these topics about college because I think we all have an investment in how colleges are run and what the college experience is like. So, I think we all at least have to at least be like a little bit interested in this, since it's definitely going to affect our lives for the next however many years. So, if you look down on the page, I have three suggested topics for you. And they're kind of like three problems, where again, we want to start with a problem, and then your argument, your thesis would be the solution. So the first one I listed was tuition. So the problem here, I think, is pretty easy to understand, right? We all know college is way too expensive. Um, there's all these statistics you can get about the amount of debt there is and how much it costs people and all the negative consequences that has on everyone. So I think that is, whenever I ask students like, okay, well, what are the biggest problems with college? Or like, what are our top five biggest problems with college? One of the first thing that always comes up is the amount of money that it costs and the tuition of it all. Especially when we go to high school for free and now you have to pay for college. That's a clear problem. So, I think that could be a good topic to go with, where if you were going to do that, you'd start with that problem, and then you would try to be arguing for how can we solve this? How can we make college less expensive, or should it be free? So, you want when you're looking for a solution, you've got to be as specific as you can. So if it was just like, oh, college should be cheaper, it's like, okay, well, everyone would agree with that, but how can that happen? How could that be done? What's wrong with the current system the way that it is? What could be done to it to try to fix it? I'm going to try to provide you with articles. I have that discussion this week that has two articles that sort of break down at least a little bit of stuff about the tuition and student loans thing. So you would want to have a specific solution there that you'd be arguing for and be like, this is a way to try to address the problem of college being too expensive. Okay, so that's one topic. We're going to talk a lot more about all these topics. I'll try not to say too much now. The second one I put was I just kind of generally called it teaching, but I think you could just think about this as any kind of problem with like the way college classes are or things related to professors. So I put how could the way professors teach be improved as one of them. I've talked about it before, I think, but um, I think there's just a large percentage of teachers who are doing the thing of like showing a PowerPoint and just kind of reading it to the class during class, and all the students take notes, and there's not really any questions or any discussion. And then, there's a test where you just have to remember whatever was on the PowerPoint. So I think that's what I'm thinking about when I'm talking about like the way that professors teach. So I'm going to provide you guys with some articles here, but we'll look into a couple of things about these sort of um, philosophy of teaching, and they call it pedagogy, which is the study of teaching. So we can think about some of that. So I can imagine a paper where you say, okay, like the way these classes are being run is a problem, and it's harming students, and people can't pay attention because they make it so boring and whatever, and here's something that could be done to sort of improve that. I think I also put there under that topic, what changes could be made to college courses to benefit students more. Like, I have a lot of students who don't like the fact that they have to take all of these classes that are outside their major, sometimes including the English classes that I'm teaching, which, fair enough. But, so is there some way that that should be fixed? Should students have more freedom about the classes that they take? What would a plan for that look like? So anything about the courses that we have, or the way that professors operate, either the way they teach in class, or maybe, um, I don't know, I've heard students before who have had problems with, professors not getting back to them, or whatever, and they feel like there's no way to, they have no one to turn to try to fix problems like that. So I don't know, any problems related to teaching classes, professors. I think anything like that could work for that topic. And then the last suggested topic I gave, um, I just titled it as mental health slash adjusting to college. So I think the problem that we could look at here is, there's all these statistics about college students and experiencing greater levels of anxiety and stress and different, mental sort of problems. And I guess what I would be looking for with this topic is just some kind of solution of like, is there more that could be done to help people adjust with the transition, either from high school to college, or from whatever, from not being in school for a while to coming back to college. I think Bergen has some kind of class. They have some kind of like college success class. I don't know if you guys have taken that or if you know anything about that, but that would be something to think about. Like, are those classes doing what needs to be done? Are they successful at what they're trying to be do? Is there something else that we could be doing? So some of the questions that I put here that to try to help you guys think of an argument or a thesis, I put, what should high schools be doing to better prepare students? So like, is there something more that should be done before we get to college to make people feel more prepared? This is reminding me of the discussion we had last week about the being in college discussion, where I tried to give some advice, where a lot of people felt like they weren't fully prepared when they tried going to college, when they took their first college classes. So that was one thing you consider. Like, you could try to argue for some kind of like plan or program that high schools could be doing to help people. Um, it said, are colleges doing enough to help students make the adjustment? What could colleges do to help students with mental health aspects of being a college student? Definitely another thing with this is, like, I know schools provide access to like counseling, or whatever. They're supposed to have sort of mental health kind of professionals for people to talk to, but from what I've heard, or like what I've seen in my own experience, that there's usually not enough of these. Or like, I remember someone I knew in college who was trying to do this, and they had to wait like months and months to get an appointment and stuff like that. And if you try to do it not through the college, then you need insurance and money and everything like that. So I wonder if there's maybe colleges should be investing more in having like counselors, or therapists or whatever, for people to talk to try to help students. And then I also put here, how could colleges help more with this adjustment and ensure students are able to complete their degree? Because if colleges are always worried about like retaining students, because obviously if a student drops out, they're not going to be paying for courses anymore. So the colleges are very worried about that. And I think the colleges also do genuinely want people to get their degrees and everything. So I think that's something to consider, is like, just what else could colleges be doing? So again, with any of these topics, you don't want to just be like answering the questions that I have there in like a short answer kind of way. You want to make sure you have your own argument, you have your own thesis that's going to be the main thing you're arguing in a paper. So I could imagine having an essay for this where maybe you have your introduction, and then maybe you have a paragraph or two explaining, like, okay, here's the problem, here's why this is such a bad problem. But then I would spend most of the essay being like, and here's how you could solve it. And like I said, you want to be as specific and detailed as you possibly can about how the problem could be solved, what would have to be done, and everything like that. And I think the more specific you are, the more detailed you are, the easier it'll be to write 3 pages. Excuse me. which getting to the requirements here. So I am going to be looking for 3 pages once again. I do have an element where I'm going to be looking for us to include an outside source in this essay, and I'm not going to expect you guys to do like outside research. Like you can if you want. I'll leave it open to you guys if you just want to look on the internet, or you could look through like New York Times or like newspapers. Sometimes have like articles about this kind of stuff. But I'm going to provide the articles for the most part. Like we have those 2-1 student loans that we're going to talk about later this week. I'm going to give you at least one article for every one of these topics. So you're also free to just use the ones that I'm providing. What I'm really focused on with the outside resources, sorry, with including the outside source, is I want us to practice like using quotes in our essay, and kind of reading something and understanding what it's saying and then applying that in our own writing. I think that's a really important skill and one of the things I want to focus on going forward in the class. So I think this will help with that. But I don't want to overwhelm you guys. I don't want to throw a bunch of research on you. I'm not going to expect you to use the school's library or anything like that. So I'm going to provide these articles, and then based on which topic you're doing, hopefully you can find some kind of quote that you can then work into your essay. And then because we're using an outside source, I am going to give you guys, just a quick tutorial on how to do a works cited page, how to include citations. We'll do that very quick, though that's definitely not my main focus. If you're having a lot of trouble with the works cited and stuff, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I'm not going to factor that into the grade very much. I just want us to at least get a little bit of practice with that. Same formatting stuff as before, font and double spaced and all that. And then due dates. So we're going to be looking for a draft on the 8th, and then the final version the 18th. So we are going to move kind of quickly here. I'm going to try to give you these readings as soon as I can and get this video posted as soon as I can, so that you can all start thinking about what topic you want to go with, and we can start forming our essays. So we're going to talk a lot more about this essay in probably every video I'm going to record from here on out until we're done with it. But yeah, if you have any questions about this, definitely get in touch. Send me an email, and I will have some more videos for you soon.